Go to your room, old woman. The living room's mine tonight. Roman said it like spitting a seed, his hand heavy on the couch remote. I stared at the television glow flashing across his unshaven jaw. Carla laughed from the kitchen, a sharp, mirthless snap of sound. She didn't even look at me. Just stirred her soup in my pot. My knees clicked when I rose. I didn't say a word. I walked to the hall table, gathered my key ring, my reading glasses, and the blue folder marked deeds. The smell of burnt onions followed me out, the door shut softly. Welcome to my channel. I share new life stories every day, real hearts, real turning points. If you've ever felt unseen, if you've ever been told you're too old to matter, this one is for you. Hit subscribe. Tap like. Leave a comment when this ends, tell me if you've ever had to reclaim your space, your name, your power. Stay with me till the last word, you'll love the twist. Because tonight we begin where most stories end, with silence, a woman walking out under a winter sky, and the sound of keys that will soon open new doors. The night air bit at my cheeks. January in Colorado never asks permission, it enters the bones. I stood on the porch, listening to the hum of the old street lamp. Behind me, their voices rose, muffled by drywall and dependence. Roman was 36. Carla, 39. Both divorced, both broke, both claiming they needed a little time to reset. That little time had stretched into 11 months. My savings covered their Wi-Fi, their car insurance, their streaming subscriptions. But tonight I realized I'd become a silent maid in my own house. I walked down the driveway, gravel crunching slow. The folder pressed against my ribs like a heartbeat. Inside it, copies of my late husband's notarized signatures, the property survey, the transfer deed from 1984. I'd been county recorder for 22 years. I knew ink. I knew permanence. A smell of pine resin drifted from the trees near the mailbox. I breathed it in. It steadied me. The silver Camry waited under a frost film. When I opened the door, the interior light bathed everything gold. Old crumbs on the seat, a half-folded scarf, my late husband's Air Force keychain. I ran a thumb over the dented metal wings. Time, I whispered. The engine turned with a cough, then settled into its aging hum. Snowflakes danced in my headlights as I pulled away from the only home I'd ever owned and the only battlefield left in my life. I drove aimlessly at first, through neighborhoods where porch lights blinked and old dogs barked once then fell silent again. My hips ached, but my mind was sharp, ticking through steps like old files. Step 1, documentation review. Step 2, utility control. Step 3, legal notice. These weren't acts of cruelty. They were corrections. At a red light, I watched fog rise from my breath against the windshield. The city's LEDs painted the snow pink. I thought about Carla's first apartment, how I'd helped her furnish it the week after she turned 23. I'd saved coupons, bought her a couch she claimed was ugly but free. She'd called me her hero. Then the light turned green. Heroes fade fast when wallet's empty. I stopped at an all-night diner off County Road 9. Coffee scent hit before I even opened the door, dark roast and frying bacon, a nostalgia heavier than grief. Inside, a teenage waiter wiped counters, earbuds tucked beneath his beanie. Seat yourself, he said, barely glancing up. I picked the corner booth under the vent hum. Slid the folder onto the table. Ordered decaf. Old habits, even when your pulse could use the caffeine. The first sip warmed the back of my throat. Steam fogged my glasses. Inside that blur, I saw Bruce, my husband, as he'd stood the last morning before his heart quit. He'd spooned sugar into my cup, humming some Glen Campbell tune, his ring clinking the ceramic rim. Never let anyone treat you small, he'd said, eyes soft but firm. I hadn't understood that warning until now. The deed papers smelled faintly of cardboard and lemon cleaner. I spread them out like a map. Lot numbers, legal descriptions, chain of ownership. My handwriting, careful and square from decades of county work, filled the witness lines. Ownership clear and absolute, but it wasn't possession that hurt. It was memory. Every inch of that house held echoes, Christmases, thunderstorms, soft murmurs before sleep. I'd opened it out of love. They'd treated it like entitlement. I looked up at the diner clock. 2:14 a.m. Too early for logic, too late for sleep. Still, the calm in me felt surgical. Precise. I pulled out my phone. Battery 58%. Contacts scrolled under my thumb until I found Jack Bramer, attorney. Jack had been an intern in our recording office years ago, nervous, polite, easier to trust than most. Now he ran a small property law firm downtown. My finger hovered over call. Then pressed point 1 ring. 2. Voice, deep and gravelly with sleep. Hello? Jack. It's Celeste Parker. Pause. Ms. Parker. Everything okay? I need to initiate an eviction. 2 tenants. Both family. His sigh came like paper dragging over a desk. Are you sure? I'm awake at 2:15 a.m. Does that answer it? Another beat of silence. Then professionalism clicked in. I can draft a notice to vacate first thing tomorrow. You'll need to serve it personally or through courier. Personal is fine. All right. Send me the rental terms, if any, and ownership documents. We'll keep this clean. I nodded though he couldn't see me. Clean. That was all I wanted. Before hanging up, he asked softly, You all right to drive home tonight? I won't be going home just yet. Hotel? Yes. Text me when you check in. We'll talk at 9. When the call ended, the diner felt hollow. Music from the kitchen radio leaked out, some crooner singing about second chances. I paid with cash, left a tip that made the boy blink twice, then stepped back into the snow. The town's only Hyatt had warm automatic doors and 2 bright Christmas lights still hung from the eaves. Inside, the heater whooshed pleasant overwhelm. The desk clerk, a girl with braids and pink nails, smiled automatically checking in. Yes. One night. Celeste Parker. She typed fast, perfume like vanilla cream thick in the air. King or queen? Queen. Always queen. Her laugh was small but kind. Room 302. Elevator chimed soft. As I rode up, I watched my reflection in mirrored doors. White hair, clean collar, eyes too alert for the hour. I didn't look broken. I looked reborn through frost. The room smelled faintly of lemon disinfectant and new carpet. I parked the folder on the desk beside the lamp. Then sat, unlaced my shoes carefully, placing each parallel on the floor. Old habits from a lifetime of order. The silence pressed gentle against my ears. My knees throbbed, my shoulders loosened. I thought of the empty house. They'd probably celebrated my meltdown, poured wine, sat in my recliner. They still believed power came from volume. They'd never learned how much stronger it sounds when a person stops replying. I drew the curtains halfway. City snow shimmered like powdered sugar over parked cars. Each flake glowed under the streetlights, falling steady. I inhaled deeply and began to plan. Step 1. Reclaim documentation tomorrow morning, copies to Jack. Originals stay with me in Bank Box 312, Highlands Credit Union. Safe key still on 3rd ring, the one that jingles louder. Step 2. Utilities, call Kel Energy. Suspend service under my account until tenants provide proof of transfer. Water and trash, same. No turf wars. Just paperwork. Step 3. Household accounts, reverse automatic grocery deliveries. Change online passwords. Redirect pension deposits to checking, away from joint debit. Even as I wrote these lines in the small Hyatt notepad, the pen scratched like a heartbeat. Ink steady. Letters upright. I could almost hear Jack's surprised voice in the morning. I've never seen someone this prepared. My late husband would have smiled. He'd always said my calm could freeze fire. I'd laughed then. Now, I understood the weapon in it. Sleep drifted in broken pieces. Dreams of running faucets, light switches clicking, rooms fading to blue. When morning leaked in through beige curtains, I felt neither tired nor strong, just certain. Coffee came from the tiny pod maker near the bathroom. Harsh, metallic, perfect. Steam rose, curling around my face, waking the logic first. I dressed in pressed slacks, navy sweater, the pearl earrings Bruce had gifted on our 15th. They caught the light when I nodded at myself in the mirror. A soldier's preparation ritual, one wrinkle at a time. At 8:45 a.m., phone buzzed. Jack morning, Celeste. I'm in the office. You can stop by now. I'm on my way. Downtown Greeley looked thin under snow crusts. I parked outside his grey brick building where pigeons perched on a frozen awning. Inside, warmth smelling of toner and stale coffee. His receptionist pointed me toward a door etched J. Bramer Law. Jack rose when I entered, taller now, broader, silver touching his beard. He offered a hand, firm and respectful. Good to see you again. Wish it were for happier reasons. I laid the folder on his desk, sliding it open with precision. These are copies of the deed, the current tax bill, and an affidavit of ownership. There's no rental lease. They're my adult children, temporarily residing without tenancy. He nodded, scanning pages. You've certainly done half my work. I prefer efficiency. His lips twitched into an almost smile. I'll draft the notice to vacate. You can deliver it before noon if you'd like the process to begin today. Can we post it legally on interior property as well as hand to them? Yes. Colorado law allows both for non-tenants over 18. We'll date it today, they'll have 10 days to vacate. Perfect. He printed while I sipped the office coffee he offered. Cheap, weak, but strong enough to underline resolve. When the printer quieted, he signed the bottom line, offered me 2 copies. You're sure you want to handle the delivery personally? I handled crime records for 2 decades, Jack. An address confrontation won't shatter me. He chuckled softly. I believe you. By 11 a.m., I was back in my car, notice folded neatly beside me. The sky had turned pewter. Wind whipped the moving snow sideways. Metal taste of cold, metallic clink of keys as I turned into Maple Drive, and Y house loomed at the hill crest, white siding, blue shutters, porch sagging from last spring's hail. A place built from love, dented by complacency. Carla's SUV parked crooked near the mailbox. Roman's truck hunkered behind it, a mud-splashed symbol of inertia. I parked calmly behind them and cut the engine. They didn't notice me at first. Through the window, I saw them laughing, morning drinks, maybe. The television flashing cartoons. My knickknacks cluttered the mantel like trophies they never earned. I stepped out. Crunch. Ice cracked under each stride. Keys jingled like small applause, a rhythm only I heard. Halfway up the porch, the smell of their stale breakfast hit, eggs burnt, syrup cloying. Carla noticed movement, opened the door halfway. Mom, you're back. We thought you were at Francis's. No. Just needed a drive. Roman appeared behind her, shirtless, holding a mug that read King of Everything. The irony nearly made me smile. What's that? He asked, nodding toward the envelope. Documentation. Carla frowned. Mom, you could have texted. I handed her the paper smoothly. She read the header, notice to vacate, residential premises. Color drained from her face. What is this? I kept my hands folded. Clarity. Roman cursed, loud enough to rattle the glass. You wouldn't dare. I already have. Their voices tangled. Accusations, disbelief, half-formed guilt. But I didn't echo a single syllable. I just watched their panic form in the space between breath and comprehension. When noise peaked, I lifted a hand once. Quiet spread like ripples freezing on a pond. You have 10 days. Utilities will suspend until transfer arranged. Keys remain property of owner. Carla stammered, but we're family. Exactly why this notice is necessary. I stepped back, descended the porch slowly. Each stair creaked, same as always. The wind smelled of cedar and snowstorm. Behind me, I heard Roman slam the door. The sound didn't even reach my pulse. I end the car. I sat still for a long minute. The heater clicked alive, filling space between each heartbeat. My reflection stared from the dark screen of the dashboard. Older, yes, but anchored. The folder lay on the passenger seat, one corner lifting slightly from where warm air hit. Inside, the second copy of the notice waited for safekeeping. Outside, my children wrestled with truth that kindness has limits. The phone buzzed. A text from Jack. All filed digitally. You're protected. Call if they retaliate. I typed back. Thank you. Next steps remain internal until deadline. His reply came almost instantly. Understood. Proud of you, Celeste. I drove not back to the hotel, but to the frozen pond behind Maple Park. Bruce and I used to skated there long before his heart's betrayal. The benches were snow-dusted, the air brittle. I walked out slowly, leaning on the old cedar cane I kept in the trunk. Ice popped beneath somewhere deep, echo that sounded like punctuation. I sat and let memories flow like quiet film reels, birthdays, arguments, reconciliations, dinners. The realization burned gentle. Every act of generosity aborted at gratitude dies as entitlement. Don't feed what won't swim on its own, Bruce had once said about stray mallards. I finally understood. By afternoon, wind stilled. My phone rang again. Unfamiliar number, local exchange. I answered, Mrs. Parker. This is Karen from Highlands Credit Union. You asked to confirm your SafeBox renewal? Yes. I'll renew for another year. Please mark it confidential. Absolutely. We'll note owner verification only by in-person ID. Perfect. Another administrative win. Each one stitched a line of composure through me. Back inside the Camry, I made a new list in the notepad. 1. Redirect pension. 2. Contact county clerk to update mailing address. 3. Research lock change timeline after vacancy. 4. Keep calm. 5. Breathe twice before any message. Reply list saved me before. They weren't just tasks, they were scaffolding for sanity. Evening bruised the horizon purple when I returned to the Hyatt. The clerk recognized me. Hope you had a good day, Ms. Parker. I did. She slid a note across the desk. Someone dropped this off for you about an hour ago. My name written in my daughter's rounded script. I opened it slowly. Mom, please come home so we can talk. We overreacted. Roman's sorry too. We'll clean, do chores, anything. Please don't do this. No apology, only transaction. I folded it back, neatly, and tucked it under my room key. Conversation could wait. Upstairs, shower water steamed the small bathroom mirror until my face vanished entirely. Silence again, not absence, but sanctuary. I brewed chamomile tea, sat by the window, watched headlights move along the interstate. Each pair of lights felt like stories leaving. We all move on. Some just take the scenic route. When the clock hit 9, I dialed Jack again. He answered quick, like expecting me. How'd they take it? Loudly. They'll calm, or they won't. Either way, paper's stronger than volume. He chuckled softly. True words. I'll prepare follow-up documents just in case. Would you like me to send utility suspension forms too? Yes. Email them tonight. I'll complete before bed. You really don't rest, do you? I rest when order is restored. He paused, tone softer. You sound lighter. I am. The hardest part is always the first act of refusal. I'll drink to that. Call me if there's any trouble. We hung up. The room's heater hummed steady. The kind of background noise that sounds like progress. I opened my laptop, logged into utility accounts. Within 30 minutes, electricity and gas set to temporary suspension effective tomorrow noon. Water and trash followed with online forms. Each confirmation email landed like a closing lock in my chest. Sharp click, deep relief. The clock read 10:22 p.m. Snow had thickened, whitening rooftops far below. I sipped cooling tea and whispered to the window, boundaries are love spoken in firm lines. Sleep refused again, but fatigue wore gentle edges. At 1:07 a.m., my phone buzzed. One message from Carla. Mom, please pick up. We're scared. You can't just turn off power in winter. No punctuation after please. I stared at it for a full minute, empathizing but unmoved. They'd had heat from my account for nearly a year. They could find their own now. I turned the phone face down. Morning came silver and silent. News reported another cold front. Downstairs, the lobby served oatmeal and watery juice. The staff's chatter sounded normal, almost comforting. I ate slowly, rereading each step in the notepad. 1 day down. 9 left outside, streets glistened under thin ice crusts. I watched cars move cautiously, everyone adjusting, surviving. Life always self-corrects. My hands smelled faintly of lemon lotion when I gathered my things. Folder, phone, charger, notebook. Precision again, my old armor. Before checkout, I called Jack once more. Good morning, he greeted. Everything's smooth. As snow. They texted last night. No threats, just guilt. That's good. You've done the right thing. I know. Next step, he said, is paperwork acknowledgement. If they refuse, we proceed civilly. That's fine. Calmly. Same time tomorrow then? We can finalize the suspension documents. Yes. And, Jack. Thank you for picking up at 2 a.m. yesterday. He chuckled. You sounded like someone worth answering. I smiled despite myself. Good to know. As I drove away from the Hyatt, dawn sunlight caught on the frost diamonding my windshield. For once, cold felt like possibility, not punishment. Inside my coat pocket, the keys jingled, steady rhythm, metal on metal. That sound had always meant home. Now it meant freedom. I pulled over near the courthouse parking lot and jotted 3 words on the last page of my notepad. He agrees, notice tomorrow. The ink bled slightly, dark and complete. Not prophecy. Documentation. Exactly how every reclamation begins. Doorbell rang. Roman stood there. Snow crusted his hair, breath spilling grey clouds. He looked older in daylight, shocked into adulthood for once. I came to talk, he said. That would be new, I answered. He winced. Held the envelope between 2 shaking fingers. Carla says you mean it. The eviction thing. I never joke with formal notice. He stepped inside the Hyatt lobby uninvited. The carpet muffled his boots. Around us, guests wandered with paper coffee cups, unaware a family was fracturing under fluorescent light. Roman's eyes darted everywhere, the chandeliers, reception desk, anything but me. Mom, this is crazy. You can't just kick us out like strangers. I didn't. The law did. You're my mother, and that should have meant respect, not rent-free domination. He rubbed his jaw until it reddened. Look, we're fixing things, okay? Carla's cleaning the kitchen now. The kitchen you claimed as yours. He flinched. The sentence hit its target. I reached into my purse, pulled a folded printout. Utility suspension schedule. The bold lines showed cutoff dates, power, water, internet. I tapped the column politely. This isn't punishment, Roman. It's proportion. You've eaten from a hand too long without noticing it bleeds. Tone calm, words efficient. He stared at the page as if it were written in Latin. Where are we supposed to go? Anywhere you arrange within 9 days. That's impossible. It's adulthood. Silence widened between us until even the elevator ding sounded pitying. I softened my breath. Not my stance. Roman, you're capable. You built furniture once. Remember? You could build again. He blinked. Jobs don't hire that fast. Neither does self-respect, but it starts somewhere. His eyes glossed. I guess you really don't care what happens to us. Wrong. I care that it happens by your effort, not my tolerance. He shook his head, muttered something foul, then turned. The doors hissed closed behind him, leaving faint tobacco odor in the air. When he left, I returned to my seat by the window. Outside, snow shone raw white, too bright to look at. I sipped lukewarm tea left from breakfast. Tiny ripples trembled with each pulse in my wrist. The doorman passed by, nodding politely. To everyone else, I was just another grandmother traveling alone. They could never know the warfare underneath my cardigan. Phone buzzed again. Jack's update email. Utilities confirmed, courier backup ready. I typed back 1 word. Proceed. Paperwork had rhythm, like meditation. Control carried its own comfort. Later that morning, I drove to the house again. I wanted to photograph inventory. Jack suggested documentation in case of damages. I followed that advice like gospel. The neighborhood looked serene, white roofs, children tugging sleds, the illusion of peace that winter paints over cracks. My driveway, however, told the truth. Slush, misaligned trash bins, their neglect visual as confession. I parked. Checked that my recording app was on. Knocked twice before unlocking with my copy. Inside air, stale coffee, damp socks. Roman must have just left. Steam blurred the bathroom mirror down the hall. Carla sat at the table, phone to ear, voice sugar-sweet. She froze when she saw me. Mom, you can't just walk in anymore. I still hold title until transfer or vacancy. Remember that. It's creepy. What's creepy is pretending ownership without contribution. She hung up and crossed her arms, sweatshirt sagging. You made Roman cry, you know. He's free to Tears add nothing to ledgers. God, listen to yourself, everything's about paperwork now. It always was. You just never cared to read the fine print. She paced like a child denied dessert. Is this about Dad? You missing him? My throat tightened but never cracked. This is about me remembering what he taught. Carla slumped into a chair, muttering. Something sharp inside me wanted to comfort her. Something wiser refused. I withdrew my phone, began recording. The shutter sound clicked at each photo, sofa stains, clutter piles, unpaid bills on counter. Evidence, not emotion, Carla noticed. What, taking proof we're messy? Yes. She scoffed, a brittle laugh. You sound like one of those cold case clerks you used to train. I smiled faintly. Well, some of us keep skills sharp. Upstairs smelled worse, cheap perfume over mildew. Sheets rumpled, walls scuffed. Each snapshot extracted another ounce of illusion. These weren't children anymore. They were tenants who forgot to pay the rent of decency. Whinies popped on the last stair down. Carla followed, arms crossed so tightly her knuckles blanched. If you really throw us out, I'll never forgive you. That's your decision to carry. Roman says you'll regret this. I don't do regret, Carla. I file it, learn from it, archive it forever. I brushed past, locked the door behind me from outside. She shouted my name through the wood. I let Wind answer instead. Back at the car, I called Jack. He picked up on first ring. Progress? Visual confirmation achieved. Disorder, filth, verbal hostility. He chuckled sadly. You talk like you're writing a police report. It's how I stay steady. Understood. I'll note it in your record. Keep those photos backed up. I already have. Good. Next step, if they intimidate you, we escalate formally. They're loud, not dangerous. Still. Document everything. Including calls. I intend to. Then rest, Celeste. Let the clock tick for you now. I'm learning. Afternoon faded to pearl grey. I parked near the frozen pond again. Clouds mirrored ice, flat, uncelebrated beauty. Trees bowed under new weight. Memory tried to invade. Christmas lunges, birthday melodies, but discipline denied entry. I opened the folder, flipping through each signed field, initials, notarizations. Every mark a little torch of certainty. At 4 p.m., the first retaliation arrived, a text barrage. Carla, you shut off Netflix. Really? Roman, heat's still on, but this is evil. Then silence. I let the messages pile like snowdrifts. Touching them would melt resolve. Instead, I drove to town hall. The clerk at utilities desk recognized me despite retirement. Well, if it isn't Celeste Parker. Back to tame more chaos. Personal matter this time. She smiled knowingly. Those are the hardest. I'll survive them the same way. Signatures. We processed the last confirmation, suspension scheduled. Her stamp thudded like a heartbeat on paper. Done. Night came crisp. I returned to the hotel, heater blasting. Ordered soup from room service, tomato, too salty, but nourishing in its familiarity. TV played muted game shows. My mind played quieter reels, me repainting old walls, peace echoing through emptied rooms. Around 9 p.m., Jack emailed again, subject line next phase confirmed. Inside, confirmation digits, docket timestamps, digital signature logs. I highlighted, printed to PDF, saved copies twice. Control was calming, then another notification, new voicemail. Unknown number. I set it on speaker, listened. Mom, it's Carla. You win, okay? Just stop these games. The internet's off, and it's freezing. We'll talk tomorrow. Her voice cracked on freezing. Like she'd met consequence for the first time. I didn't cry. But the ache was real, marrow-deep grief shaped like relief. I whispered to the room, love still stands, but on firmer floors. Morning light arrived, pale blue. Hotel corridors smelled of coffee and sanitizer again. Routine folded around me neatly. I made bed, folded robe, counted receipts. Precision always outmaneuvers panic. On the bedside table lay Bruce's photo from my wallet, him in uniform, eyes laughing. I placed the folder beside it, his legacy next to my strength. The phone buzzed, Jack texting, All utilities filed. Any pushback? Just emotional noise, I typed expected. Day 3 tomorrow, stay quiet, responsive only through legal path. Understood. I lied back, eyes open to ceiling texture. Shapes aligned like counties on a map. I traced imaginary borders with my gaze, whispering counties I'd once governed through records. Weld, Morgan, Larimer. Boundaries, the one thing that kept communities alive. Now, I was mapping emotional geography. Mid-morning snow softened roads to slush. I drove to bank headquarters, a small box of brick and humming fluorescents. Asked to freeze joint debit cards under suspicious use. Telltale pause from teller. You're removing access for family? Yes. For my financial safety. Click of keyboard, approval logged, new card ordered. The air smelled like ink ribbons and discipline. I smiled politely, left, next stop, grocery store. I bought only what I needed, fruit, yogurt, bread, the lightness of self-sufficiency surprising even me. A tea checkout, the cashier's nails clacked bright red. That's a beautiful folder, she said, seeing the blue edge sticking from my bag. It holds freedom, I told her. She laughed, thinking I joked. I didn't. Back in the room, I laid every document on the bedspread. Receipt trail now clean as snowfall. Property titles, suspension forms, account freezes. Each page aligned to the right edge, order visible even to chaos. I took a photo, time-stamped it, and whispered, phase completed. Outside, sleet started tapping the window. Tiny percussion of incoming change. With it came a faint warmth. I realized I no longer felt fear. Just an odd, motherly pride, like watching stubborn seedlings finally confront sun. Evening brought the second confrontation. Lobby phone blinked red, front desk message. The clerk called upstairs, Ms. Parker. Your son's downstairs again. I'll come down. Roman stood near fireplace, coat open, nervously paging a community housing brochure. He'd shaved poorly, patches of stubble clinging defiantly. Mom, we found something. Cheap rent across town. But they need deposit. I see. We're short. Just for a few days. I tilted my head. How short? 600. I imagined my husband's eyebrows raising. He'd always said, a pattern unbroken repeats itself forever. I can't loan you, I said softly. His shoulders sagged. Mom, no. My tone cut air like thin glass. I financed 11 months of immaturity. That ledger is closed. He stared, lips pressed white. You'd really watch your own kids freeze? If it births competence, yes. People glanced at us but looked away quickly. Hotel etiquette. He muttered, you've changed. I finally matched my age. His laugh came bitter. You think this makes you strong? I know it keeps me sane. He left through revolving doors without goodbye. Snow swallowed him whole. Later, the tremor of adrenaline finally eased. I wrote in the notepad. Lesson 2. Quiet power terrifies the loud. Tea cooled beside me. Steam rose thin, beautiful, unnecessary. An hour later, another knock. Not Roman. Courier. Envelope sealed. Inside, official stamped acknowledgement of notice receipt, both names signed so they'd accepted it. Time truly ticking now. I placed that paper gently on top of the stack, like final snow on grave. Then exhaled slow. I spent the next morning at a small cafe downtown, brick walls, Sinatra playlist. Ordered oatmeal, light cinnamon. The scent brought memory of Bruce making Sunday breakfast in plaid pajamas. For a brief moment, warmth replaced strategy. Across the room, 2 younger women gossiped about their teenagers. One said, they act like they own the place. I almost smiled. Indeed, I murmured under breath. The barista wiped my table later. Everything all right, Yes, I said. Everything's exactly as it should be. Outside, wind carried scent of roasted beans and diesel. Real life moving onward. By noon, I passed by my house again. A truck idled out front. Roman loading boxes surprisingly fast. Carla stood near mailbox, crying into mittens. Neighbors pretended not to notice the suburban way. I parked 2 houses down. Watched silently, observer of my own undoing. When she spotted me, she started toward the car. I stayed inside, window half closed. She shouted, voice muffled by glass and snow. Mom, please, let's just talk. You don't have to do this. Her breath fogged the air. Small crystals caught sunlight. She looked less like a daughter, more like an echo. I rolled window a few inches. Softly, you'll be fine. The world's not cruel, just conditional. Tears burst. Conditional? That's what family is to you now? No, Carla. That's what adulthood is. Family is what survives understanding that. She pressed hand flat to the glass. I didn't match it. Not rejection, containment. Roman yelled from porch, Carla, get back here. She wiped her eyes, stomped away. Door slammed. I waited until silence returned. Then started engine. Drove away slow, like escorting ghosts from the driveway. A T-stoplight, hands trembled slightly. Not out of sorrow, release. Behind that tremor lay a truth too simple to ignore. You teach people how to see you. I'd taught compliance for years. Now I was teaching distance. The phone dinged, a new message from Jack. All procedures recorded. Eviction clock ends Friday 10 a.m. 5 days. Less noise each one. I pulled into library parking lot. Returned an old memoir I'd once lent Carla. She never read past chapter 1. Inside front cover, I found my own handwriting from years ago. Freedom is quieter than forgiveness. I smiled. Even my past self tried to warn me. That evening, I treated myself to small luxuries. Dinner at hotel restaurant, grilled salmon, white wine, linen napkin folded just so. Flavors lived sharper when nobody interrupted them with complaint. The candle flame reflected in the glassware like tiny courage glowing steady. A pianist played slow standards in lobby. He caught my eye, smiled. I nodded once in measured appreciation. Another inch of life reclaimed. Upstairs later, I updated digital folders again. Each file name neat, step 1 _ deed, step 2 _ notice, step 3 _ utility suspend. Order so clean it nearly sang. At 11 p.m, phone vibration cut through calm. Unknown number again. Curiosity beat caution. I answered, breath first, ragged. Then her voice, trembling. Mom? Yes. I'm sorry. Words barely audible. Background sniffles. Carla, tears in her tone dissolved defiance. I didn't mean all the things we said. We just got scared. Roman's gone to stay at a friend's. I didn't know what to do. I closed laptop softly so the click wouldn't sound like gloating. Listened, Mom, please come home. I promise we'll figure it out. Just say something. I breathed slow enough for her to hear, calm through wires. Carla, I love you. But love doesn't cancel consequence. Find stability. Then call again. She sobbed harder. Please. I can't. The connection crackled, faded. Line ended with mechanical beep. I sat there, phone still near ear, heartbeat audible in neck veins. Outside, wind howled sharper, like sky echoing her cry. Inside, silence folded around me mercifully. I whispered to the empty room, steady as scripture. She'll make it. Else, she'll learn. Snow kept falling. Clock ticked. 9 steps done, then screen lit again. Missed call, Carla. 5 voicemails forming digital puddles of guilt. I let them sit unheard. Some lessons require echo to finish shaping. By dawn, streets glistened silver under streetlight halos. I brewed hotel coffee, watched steam twist like ghost handwriting above cup. My reflection faintly visible in window, older, clearer, unshaken. Each tendon in my hands ached from tension, now replaced by intent. I flipped through the blue folder again. Top page stamped clear owner, Celeste A. Parker. Ink unbroken. Authority unbent. Phone vibrated silently across table. New voicemail transcript from Carla. Only 6 words printed on screen before truncation. Mom, please. I'm sorry. Please answer. I closed my eyes. Steady breath in. Longer one out. The world outside kept whitening. Quiet, vast, exact. Lobby glass reflected me twice, once polished, once ghost-like. Morning frost lined the windows. Coffee smell drifted from the barista stand near the elevators. I stirred mine gently, watching steam blur the world. Then Roman walked in. Not ragged this time, pressed shirt, false calm. He held the posture of someone coached for apology morning, Mom. Neutral tone, too neutral. He glanced at the hotel decor the way foxes inspect traps. I think Carla called you yesterday, he said. I received her message, I replied. You didn't answer. I listen before I respond. Small silence. Lobby music filled it, something lo-fi and safe. He inhaled. We're moving by Friday. You can stop the shutdown thing. I won't. Confusion rippled across his face like light underwater. Why? We said we'd go. Why keep punishing us? This isn't punishment, I said again, voice even as breath. It's closing ceremony. Every account tied to me will end. That includes shared cards. He frowned. What cards? The joint debit your sister uses for groceries. Your credit line from my secondary account. They're invalid by noon. Color climbed his neck. You're serious? Yes. He looked toward the desk clerk, then back, lowering his tone. You'd leave your own daughter with no food. She's 39. She can shop. Anger twitched in his jaw. She'll hate you forever. Hatred fades. Dependency poisons. He shook his head, muttered something too low. Then louder, fine. Do whatever. You'll die alone. That's already true of everyone. He stared like he didn't know whether to hit or hug me. In the end, he did neither. Just turned, shoulders tight, walked out. I exhaled slowly. Heart steady. No rage left, just clarity. The clerk approached. Everything all right, Ms. Parker? Perfectly. He nodded, unsure, retreating to safety behind glossy counters. I finished coffee, watched taxi headlights smear gold across the marble floor. The day felt sharp, decisive. Next phase, financial emancipation. It sounded dramatic. In truth, it was spreadsheets. At 10 a.m. I sat in the hotel's business corner, tiny cubicle, hum of printers. Opened my laptop. Files stacked like fortresses, accounts, cards, insurance, wills. The cursor blinked patiently first. I emailed Highlands Credit. Subject: card freeze confirmation. Body short, factual, effective noon, cancel linked cards 412655 and 319407. Owner retains sole access. Send next, pension account. Redirect deposit fully to personal savings. Simple keystrokes, decades overdue. Then, the Retirement Association portal, where Bruce used to handle logins. His old password still faintly visible on paper clipped inside folder. I used it once more, changed credentials, whispered, thank you, love. Digital locks replaced sentimental ones. By 11 a.m., all crosslinks to children were severed. The bank texted confirmation, joint accounts closed. Cards suspended. Balances secure. A strange quiet filled me, less like freedom, more like oxygen returned. To commemorate, I decided to buy something symbolic. Not jewelry, I never cared for sparkle. I wanted armor. Department store downtown smelled of leather and new fabric, comfort disguised as merchandise. A clerk, young enough to be my granddaughter, greeted me, looking for anything special today. Yes, I said. A uniform. She blinked. What kind? One that says, I can't carry your chaos anymore. Her lips parted, then turned into an understanding smile, the kind women give across generations when language fails. She guided me toward tailored jackets. Soft wool, slate gray. I touched the fabric, cool, honest. Mirror showed me trial version of authority, shoulders squared, lines clean. I adjusted collar, exhaled. Perfect. At checkout, she folded it carefully. Going somewhere? Just home, I said. But it'll be different now. Back at the Hyatt, I hung the jacket on the closet handle. Steam from the bathroom curled around it like blessing. Notebook open. New heading, Phase 3, boundaries. Publicly stated tasks underneath. 1. Send final courtesy email to both children confirming deactivation of financial ties. 2. Reclaim car title, Roman still registers under me. 3. Schedule locksmith for Saturday 10 a.m. 4. Ignore emotional theatrics. Respond only through legality. 5. Rest. I drafted the email, tone neutral. Dear Carla, dear Roman, all joint accounts are now closed. Please arrange independent billing for utilities and phone. This marks completion of financial separation. I wish you stability. I read it twice. No venom, no apology. Send. The sound the laptop made tiny whoosh felt ceremonial. Paperless finality. By evening, hotel corridors glowed amber. Families returned with ski gear, laughter echoing off long hallways. I poured black coffee into a ceramic cup, propped notebook on knee. The phone blinked once, then again. Messages storming in. Roman, what the hell, Mom? Carla, our cards declined at gas station. Roman, you left us stranded. We had groceries. Carla, why are you doing this? Then call after call. I declined each. Click. 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 Decline. 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 Tiny vibration ticks patterned like heartbeat. I muted device, laid it face down beside untouched dinner roll. Sometimes love means not cushioning consequences. Silence was my lesson plan now. I took the new jacket, draped it over my shoulders. Fabric weight precise, reassuring. Looked at reflection in dark window, lines etched deep but dignified. Bruce would have approved. He always said, we become what we tolerate least. I turned out the lights early. Sleep arrived without effort for the first time in months. Morning. Snow melted into thin gleam across asphalt. News on TV murmured about power outages in other towns, irony too sharp to miss. I smiled faint. Karma had an administrator today. A tea breakfast buffet. Hotel clerk handed me small envelope. From someone downstairs, he said inside, $20 and a handwritten note. Gas money. Sorry, we yelled. Roman. I folded it quietly, returned the bill to envelope without comment. Symbolic repentance, not practical change. But it proved movement. He was learning discomfort could construct decency later, Jack called. Phase 3 success. Yes, I said. Accounts sealed. Cards disabled. Emotional turbulence high. He chuckled. You make it sound like weather reporting. Storms fade, records remain. Any threats? Only whining. Then relax, you're almost through midpoint. Halfway, I corrected. The rest is reclamation. He paused. You've got steel in you, Celeste. Just tempered glass. Stronger when cooled. He laughed softly. I might quote you. Give credit where due, I said. He promised updated legal draft for car title next week. End call. Mid-afternoon, boredom crept. My hands missed the texture of paper forms, the sound of stamps. Retirement taught me idle softness. Crisis retort motion. I opened the county recorder portal, public records interface I once supervised. Typed my address. Watched the screen refresh showing my ownership entry, verification codes blinking like small affirmations. Still there. Still mine. For the first time, I felt gratitude toward bureaucracy. Paper never pretends to love you. It simply bears witness. After sunset, I ventured to the hotel bar, rare for me. Low jazz, soft chatter. Bartender offered menu. Something not too strong, I told him. He served white wine chilled to quiet perfection. A couple nearby argued in whispers about money. Her tone pleading, his defensive. I smiled sadly, invisible audience to humanity's loop. They'd reach my lesson eventually. Silence beats shouting. Before turning in, I tipped the bartender 20. He blinked. That's keep it. Some debts deserve overpayment. He nodded slowly, understanding none of it. Back upstairs, voicemail awaited. Carla again. Mom, we can't even book a motel. Card declined. Can you just reactivate for one night? My thumb hovered over delete. Then, instead, I saved it. Evidence of dependency mid-detox. Saved files called voicemail_proof_ of pattern. This wasn't cruelty. It was record keeping, a habit coated in mercy. Day 3 ending. Checklist almost complete. I turned off light, listened to heaters hum. Gentle mechanical lullaby. Somewhere between wake and rest, I envisioned the house empty, sunlight crawling across bare carpet. Peace echoing where arguments once nested, and amid that vision, a subtle ringtone intruded, persistent, rhythm like guilt. I ignored it until silence returned complete. Morning again, pale sun over Denver plain. I dressed methodically, grey jacket, black trousers, pearl stud. A look that said signature more than sentiment. When I passed the lobby mirror, I hardly recognized softness missing from my cheeks. I didn't mourn it. Downstairs near elevators, people stepped aside with polite nods. Maybe they felt that energy, clarity radiates differently than anger. Coffee scent rose again, nutty, strong. I breathed it deep, pocketed calm. Phone buzzed silently, group text from Carla and Roman combined now. We'll go by Friday. Just please stop freezing stuff. We get it. Call us before you talk to any bank again. We'll pay you back, swear. 3 lies and 1 truth in 2 sentences. Still, progress. I typed nothing. Let them marinate in wait. Boundaries aren't built on feedback, they're built on follow-through. Late morning, I visited Highland's credit branch in person for final verification. Lobby smelled of wax and synthetic flowers. Desk clerk recognized me. Age peers met through mutual patients years ago. Celeste Parker, what brings you out in this cold? Audit of autonomy. He laughed politely. Everything squared. Every decimal. He printed confirmation. Receipts, 3 copies. Paper warm from printer heat. I tucked them carefully into folder sleeves. That's that then, he said. That's freedom, I corrected. Outside, air sharper now. Sun cut bright against white roofs. Crosswalk light blinked red. Wait. A lesson even traffic signs know. Transition requires paused. My nose tingled from wind. Coffee cup steamed in gloved hands. A moment almost gentle, until phone vibrated once more. Another number, unknown but familiar digits. Likely Carla's new prepaid card. I answered this one, Mom. Her voice faint, brittle. Yes. We're packing the last boxes. I didn't think it would end like this. Endings rarely ask permission. Do you think Dad would approve? Completely. She sniffled. We messed up. Yes. Silence. Then, softly, will you ever forgive us? Already did. That's why paper, not police. A tiny laugh, half relief, half heartbreak. I almost believe you. You will. Call ended before tears could return. I stood there, phone cooling in my palm, heart surprisingly light. That night, I sketched next stage in Notepad. Phase 4, memory ledger. To gather, document, never again excuse. But as I wrote, notifications stormed in anew, multiple devices trembling, emails about failed transactions, calls from service centers confirming cancellations, messages laced with disbelief. Each ping another reminder that detachment was registering globally. I muted sounds. Screen still flashed like heartbeat. Then the inevitable ring. Carla, new number. I watched it buzz across table. Didn't touch it. 1 ring faded. Another replaced it. Then texts, lines of apology, guilt, accusation blending. 1 vibrated long enough to tip the phone slightly on surface, rhythmic against wood. Decline. Again. Again, but they kept coming. Relentless digital storm. Phones may be smarter now, I thought, but silence still wins every argument. Steam from untouched tea fogged the glass of window beside me, erasing city lights for a moment. When it cleared, my reflection stared back, strength trimmed of softness, still gentle beneath. I sat perfectly still until the phone finished its tantrum. Then whispered, more to fate than family. Movement documented. Lesson complete. And right on cue, the phone lit up again, unheard buzz streaking endless. The phone finally went silent. Midnight stretched, brittle as winter glass. On the desk, my tea had gone cold, the city outside muted under new snow. Only the hum of the heater and the ticking clock remained. I opened the notebook again. First clean page in 3 days. Across the top, I wrote, ledger of 4 years. The pen moved steady. Year 1, Roman loses job. Moves in 2 months. Year 2, Carla divorced. Temporary stay becomes permanent. Year 3, define temporary. Groceries double. Gas bill triples. My hand included in every cost. Year 4, they call me maid. They call my chair community seating. I stop speaking to preserve air. Each entry crisp, factual, emotion pressed flat between lines. The notebook smelled faintly of paper dust and resolve. My fingers ached from writing, but rhythm soothed. Pen scratches filled silence like rain. At 2 a.m., I added sublists, utilities they ignored, thermostat set to 78 for winter, dishwasher run half empty, lights left on when gone overnight, disrespect log, Go to your room, old woman. You should be grateful we visit. You'll ruin Carla's wedding with that attitude. I underlined the last one. Each slash of ink carried memory weight. They never saw what words cost. I did every phrase not erased but recorded. Tonight that ledger breathed its own quiet justice. By dawn, pale light pooled across the desk. Snow had stopped, replaced by fog. I closed the notebook carefully, pressing palm to cover like sealing confession. The first half of redemption is documentation. Shower water hissed from old pipes. Steam-coated mirror, reflection blurred. I traced finger lines along glass, small circles. Same rhythm Bruce used when calming me once. Facts first, emotion later. His voice echoed somewhere in condensation. I dressed in my boundary uniform, slate jacket, black pants, white turtleneck. The wool warmed my spine. Buttons clicked like small verdicts downstairs. Lobby smelled of machine-brewed coffee and lemon polish. A housekeeper greeted me. Morning, Morning, I said. Her cart squeaked one wheel, tiny imperfection in perfect order. I envied it for a moment. Even machines allowed flaws. A tea the cafe, cinnamon burned faintly on griddle heat. I ordered oatmeal again, routine defense. While eating, I opened the notebook anew, flipping through sharp margins. I realized I wasn't writing anymore. I was curating evidence. Jack would need this. Chain of neglect, tone of verbal disrespect, record of financial dependence. Proof not of cruelty, of pattern. Patterns persuade judges. Facts guard feelings. I sipped, tasted irony, oatmeal bland, like compromise. Outside, sun climbed slow, gold smears on frozen glass. My phone blinked once. A single text. From Carla. We're leaving Friday. I promise. No blame, just statement. A final attempt at peace or manipulation, I couldn't tell yet. I typed back one word, acknowledged. Professional tone for personal heartbreak. Hit send. After breakfast, I walked to a stationery store 3 blocks down. Air smelled of ink, dust, binding glue. A young clerk asked what I needed. Archival pens, I said. He handed me 2 packs. Their weight felt like integrity returning to hotel. My knees complained, small clicks echoing with each stare. Sound reminded me, the body keeps its own records too. In room 302, I laid supplies across desk, notebook, pens, folder. Stack order comforted me. Then, another typed header formed itself in my mind, financial benevolence timeline. I drafted, meticulous 2018, helped Carla settle divorce lawyer bill $4,600.2019, paid Roman's car insurance $2,100.2020, added both to phone plan. 2021, covered credit card debt 4 emergencies. Never repaid. 2022, 11 months housing, utilities, groceries. Unacknowledged labor daily totals climbed like mountain. I'd carried alone. When finished, I stared long. Guilt flickered, brief, habitual. Then logic extinguished it. Mercy without memory breeds misuse. By noon, I emailed Jack to request another appointment. Subject, documentation prepared, request review. Attached sample entries. I wrote, goal, record of behavior to support property protection should countersuit arise. He replied within the hour, impeccable prep. Let's meet tomorrow 10 a.m. I circled the time in red on notebook margin. That one line meant every sleepless night finally carried weight. I stood, stretched. Joints cracked, soft thunder under skin. Relief near audible. Then, small urge, go home, check if they'd gone early. Curiosity disguised as weakness. The drive felt shorter now that fear was gone. Road salt sparkled like flecks of glass under sun. Maple Drive appeared, quiet, deceptively peaceful. No truck this time. Just silence and mail fluttering from open box. I parked, walked up path. Every footstep measured. Key familiar in my palm. I twisted it once, not twice, threshold only halfway trusted. Inside smelled faintly of boxes, cardboard tape, and citrus cleaner. Carla's doing. Good. Living room still cluttered, but edges cleared. Half of their things gone. Progress disguised as abandonment. I moved room to room, assessing. Curtains open, air cold, dust visible on mantel. No laughter hiding anywhere. For the first time in years, the house sounded like me again, quiet but awake. Kitchen counters sparkled. A note waited on fridge. We took most of our stuff. Hope you'll forgive us someday. C. Pinned beneath a magnet Bruce once brought from Reno Air Show. I touched the magnet, cool metal memory under fingertips. Forgiveness. So easily written by those who never learn cost. Still, I smiled half an inch. Progress is progress. I brewed 1 cup of coffee in my own pot. Steam filled kitchen quickly, aromatic resurrection. The sound of percolation steadied me. Each sip tasted like ownership regained, bitter first, then warming. On the table lay an unpaid utility envelope. I smiled again, smaller. Decisions leave residue. I checked back door, windows, locks. Made notes in small pocket pad, replace latch in laundry door, loose. Call locksmith confirmed. Every detail captured, emotion stayed silent. Upstairs, light fell on bedroom wall. Bruce once painted sunflower yellow. Still cheerful, faded but honest. I sat on bed, spring's side recognition. My knees thanked the pause. I whispered into air, 1 more night, maybe 2. Then reset keys. A promise, not hesitation. Outside, wind creaked gutter, house answering approval. Back at hotel by dusk, I felt thinner, lighter. Front desk girl smiled. How's everything, Ms. Parker? Nearly balanced. She laughed politely, not understanding, but sincerity is currency enough. I end the elevator, mirror reflected jacket edges neat, hair silver under fluorescent. Each ride up felt like ascending documentation stairs. By floor 3, anxiety always dissipated. I laid notebook open, fresh page labeled emotional inventory, a ledger of what couldn't show up in court but mattered for me. List short at first, regret manageable, anger replaced by clarity, loneliness occasional flare, controllable. Relief dominant. I underlined relief twice. Later, hunger reminded duty to body too. I ordered room service, chicken soup, multigrain bread. When tray arrived, steam brushed face soft as forgiveness. I ate slowly, careful to taste seasoning, thyme, faint salt, something earthy. Nourishment accounted. Television played muted, captions crawled steady. Inside me, words still louder than any broadcast. They ordered, preserve evidence, maintain calm, finalize tomorrow. I obeyed. Before bed, I placed every written notebook on desk edge, stacked left to right by chronology. The visual alone calmed pulse. Documentation, not revenge. Each page declared survival. That night sleep came heavier, dreamless. When I woke before alarm, sun had already lined the shades edge gold. Air dry, crisp smell of hotel detergent sharp. I stretched, hearing knees click, tiny percussion of time. Coffee machine whirred while shower ran. Routine integrated, completely renamed safety. I parted curtains. Outside, roads cleared, sky vast. I whispered, neutral weather favors documentation. 8:50 a.m, phone buzz. Jack B. Morning, Celeste. Meeting tomorrow. Still fine. 10 a.m? Yes. I'll bring full ledger. Perfect. And you're doing okay? Better than okay. I printed template for possible countersuit. Just precaution. Always wise. He paused. You're remarkably composed. Habit. Paper doesn't respond to panic. He chuckled softly. That's our motto of the week. After call, I dressed again, same uniform. Repetition taught courage by familiarity. 2 pearl studs glimmered like punctuation marks finishing each day's sentence. I spent morning copying notebook summaries neatly. Columns perfect, handwriting consistent. Each page ended at exact margin, alignment tranquilized me. Faint scratch noise of pen echoed rhythm of heart. Slow, sure. When done, I flipped through entire record from beginning to end. No tears mid-pages. Only ink. Pain had become professional exhibit. Lunch at cafe again, oatmeal habit persist. Waiter joked, you must really love bland. I love predictable, I said. He smiled, confused. Most do when truth lacks sugar. While eating, I plan travel to Jack's office tomorrow. Route, parking, timeline. Precision my new prayer. Outside, January sun peeked shyly, melting icicles along gutter edges. They dripped rhythmic tick, 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 sound like time keeping score in my favor. Back at hotel, I opened hallway window for fresh air. Cold burst in, smelled faintly of pine and far-off chimney smoke. Breath visible again, proof of presence. Across the street. A couple argued by their car. Man gestured wild, woman folded arms. I watched, detached empathy. Every generation rehearses the same lesson. Control yourself before you have to regain control of others. 2 letters arrived under door around 4 p.m., slid by concierge. One from Utilities Services, confirming complete transfer to Carla's account effective immediately. The other from bank, closure confirmation. Both documents looked beautiful, clean text, seals embossed, final lines solid. Paper was never cruel, it told only truth. I sat cross-legged on bed, reading each aloud softly, cadence like liturgy. Transfer, effective, confirmed. Peace through wording. Evening descended violet. I closed drapes halfway, left lamp on. Notebook on lap again, this time new side tab labeled micromoments. Small slights that built slow corrosion. I wrote. Plates scraped purposely loud when I reminded about dishes. Eye rolls recorded after requests. Carla whispering she owes us into phone once, thinking I slept. Roman unplugging my radio mid-song, no apology, ink bled heavy where hand pressed too firm. Pain leaves indentation even where words end. Page nearly full before I noticed fingers trembling slightly. I flexed them. Steady again. Grief travels through joints before heart.to close the list. I wrote reclamation paragraph. House remains mine. Memory, once weapon, now evidence. I will not delete history, I will simply file it. Every cruelty small enough to dismiss was large enough to record. Pen paused mid-sentence. I whispered final line, ledger closed. Then dotted it with care. That dot might as well have been a gavel strike. Later, a knock. Room service again, unrequested. Young boy delivered envelope. Front desk said to give this. Inside, a small receipt, refund for unused balance of utilities due. Amount, $218.47. Justice measured in decimals, but sweet enough. I thanked him, tipped double. He blinked, shy smile. People rarely expect generosity from stern faces. When door closed, I sat at table, printed slip under palm. Numbers steady, acknowledgement of effort made visible outside. Sleet began tapping glass again. Sound soft, persistent like keyboard keys. I thought of Bruce typing letters years ago, each click building our shared archive. He'd said, one day, you'll run this house without anyone's noise. Correct, as always. I reached for folder, slid receipts inside labeled section, recovered assets. Clipped with silver pin. Harmony found in paperweight alignment. At 9 p.m., I phoned the locksmith. He answered brisk. Midtown Locks, this is Dale. Hello. Need appointment Saturday morning for rekey. 4 doors, 1 mailbox. Name and address. Parker, Celeste A417, Maple Drive. Pause. Then, oh, I know that street. You moving out or in? Reclaiming. He laughed uncertain, but took request. Saturday 10 a.m., sure thing. We'll send confirmation text. Thank you. Another step tabbed inside notebook, security revised, sleep almost gentle now, no more vibration from phone, no buzzing guilt. Still, halfway through night I woke. Wind howled faint above roof, radiator hissed. For a second, loneliness slid into awareness. Small but definable. I got up, opened curtains. Street lamps glowed halo over snowdrifts. No movement anywhere. Sometimes independence looks like emptiness before dawn. I accepted that image. Progress has quiet phases. Sunrise painted everything frost pink. I made hotel coffee, poured into travel mug. Packed folder meticulously, property deed, notebook copies, receipt stack. Last item, Bruce's Air Force keychain beside pen. Always witness to endings turned beginnings. Clock read 8:37 a.m. 2 hours until meeting. I sat by window, reviewed points, outcomes sought, language to maintain professionalism, emotions to omit. Law taught me decades ago, truth must be factual, not theatrical. I smiled inward. At 68, That rule finally served my heart too. Phone buzzed softly, text from Jack. Coffee ready here. Bring everything. Meeting room reserved. I typed back, on schedule. Closed notebook, slipped strap around folder. Keys jingled as I grabbed purse. Same 3-beat rhythm as first night I left the house, only now triumphant. Elevator reflected me again, grey, silver, composed. Older version of Command.as doors closed, faint scent of cleaner and coffee drifted upward. Ground floor awaited completion when I stepped outside, air sliced clean. Each breath visible, each step deliberate. World no longer heavy driving downtown, I cued old disc of Glenn Campbell Bruce used to hum to. Lyrics about roads and repairs filled car softly. I mouthed along without sound, smile line tugging. Parking lot nearly empty when I arrived. Jack waved from glass door office, coat still on, file in hand. Visible efficiency'd my heartbeat steady, unhurried. After months of chaos, this appointment, paperwork, witness felt holy. I walked through door, coat brushing frame. Warm air hit like welcome back. Jack smiled. Right on time. Always. He gestured to chair opposite him, piles cleared, pen waiting between contracts. Let's finalize structure of your documentation defense. I set folder down. Metal clasp clicked. Every line of the past 4 years about to turn into evidence instead of wound.